Yo, what's going on, Nomads and Drifting podcast listeners? Welcome to Backspace Nomads. Every week we talk about topics in gaming, discuss game releases, and occasionally have on gamers to share their stories. You can find us at backspacenomads.com or on Twitter at Backspace Nomads. This is episode 36 of the podcast, and I'm Brian, and joining me here is Monica. Hello, Monica.
Hello. I didn't realize we were starting for some reason.
Yeah.
And you really caught me off guard.
You're just all giggles over there.
I'm still petrified. Yeah, I was just like, oh shit, we're doing this. Episode what? What? Episode 36.
So real quick, if you guys want to find us on Apple iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, you can find us all there and subscribe to us if you want to get this on a weekly basis. We're also on YouTube if you want video versions of this. Just look for youtube.com/Backspace Nomads because we reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. So we have a full-on URL. It's very exciting for me.
We're making it.
We're like official.
We're gonna look back at this moment and bait to it.
And what to it? Is that the slang?
Yeah, bait.
I'm too old for that one.
We learned things, special things at TwitchCon, which is where we were last week.
I was gonna ask
and
you,
some of them are like that you can look back at things and feel really good and just really relish the moments that you have had. And I just think this might be one of them, you know? Now every moment I'm having, I'm like, is this something that's going to be like, woo, tingly a little later? Like, well, yeah, what's going on? I don't know.
That's a debatable moment.
Yeah. It's debatable. Yeah, sorry about that one. Sorry.
The dad jokes and puns to me, Monica. Okay, I got that covered.
I just wanted to try my hand, you know, and it flopped.
Yeah, it's very exciting though. I appreciate the attempt.
Yeah, thanks. I guess. Fuck.
So we were at TwitchCon last week. How let's start. Where do we start this? How was your travels to TwitchCon?
What the fuck, Brian? How do we start this? How were your travels to TwitchCon? My travels were just great. Actually, getting there was pretty easy. I flew Spirit Airlines, which was not the funnest. They basically make it. Oh God, I love that. You know, they always say like keep your chair in your upright position when you're landing or whatever. The chairs don't fucking go back on Spirit Airlines, so I don't know why they tell you to put your chair in your upright position. It's like hard enough? It's a cruel joke aimed at making you feel bad that you can't afford a more expensive flight that reclines. Your chair would even recline 2 inches. It's so fucked up.
That's a Spirit.
Oh my God. See, yours is that was worse than mine.
Good.
No,
it was. There are people like laughing right now. Guaranteed.
No one's laughing. Well, no one here is laughing. It's just me and you. Well, you're kind of laughing at your own joke. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, flight going back, it was a red eye, so that sucked. But the guy that sat down next to me, instantly, he was in basketball shorts. And he was very tall, so he was way taller than me even, and so he had to spread his legs out. And dude had some stank balls going on. It was, I was very upset. Luckily, I had bought a bunch of Benadryl because I knew I wanted to sleep like super well on that flight. And I popped like as many as I could possibly handle. I'm like, am I going to OD on this? Because I need to pass out right now. I do not want to be sniffing this for the next like 5 hours. But yeah, in general, it was great. Like, I loved being in Long Beach. We had that badass Airbnb right at the ocean. Yeah, it was a really good time. I thought the travel went well. Your travel was way worse than mine, though.
Oh, going out there wasn't like too horrible. Like a 6-hour flight from Orlando, which isn't like crazy because now you have all these movies you can watch and stuff. But going back, I had to do what was it, like midnight to 6 a.m, stay over at LAX, just hanging out? Yeah,
you didn't want to stay the extra night, so he went at the same time as me, and we basically just, like, he ended up having to be at the airport for like 8 hours before his flight even left, and he became friends with heroin addicts.
Oh, me and heroin addicts go way back. I seen him walk into the terminal or the gate area, and he seemed kind of weird. And then everyone else got on their flights, and then there was us. It was me, him, and like 2 other people there who were hanging out overnight. He leaves, like, first off, he's a weird looking dude. He's in a polo that has like an oversized polo with holes in it.
You already said all you need to say. Any polos are bad.
Yeah, like just holes in it. He's wearing a bucket hat that says like New York Giants on it.
Dude, that's like, this guy is my worst nightmare.
So I see him get up and like walk away, and I'm like, thank God, I can maybe take a nap here and feel safe. It's no problem. And then he comes back walking with a cot in his hand. He has a full-on cot from the airport, which I didn't even know where he got it from. And he plops that down and he starts taking a nap. For the next 6 hours of his napping experience, he awakes a handful of times to start talking to himself, start talking to other people who aren't there because no one is sitting around him. And I can only judge him to say he was probably a heroin addict. And so that was my LAX experience, just going out to the West Coast.
Yeah, travel. We're always running into weird at these conventions. I feel like I'm like always running into something. The last TwitchCon, I had to call the cops on a homeless guy because he was threatening to rip off my head and piss down my throat and like send me to hell. So that was a thing. Yeah. But I think like the actual convention itself this year was a lot bigger. There were a lot more people there. A lot of exhibitors, a lot of really cool setups and everything. But one of the areas that we spent a lot of time in was the indie game section, just checking out some of the games that were presented there. It's not a big section at TwitchCon, but it does exist. And one of the games that was there is one I've actually been trying to convince some of my friends to play with me, called Tooth and Tail. So it was awesome to be able to talk to the developers for that game. And Brian actually sat down and played a little bit. I started feeling super like close quarter claustrophobic. There was a lot of people. The booths were really small.
Very
there was a lot
tight
of
in
people.
there.
Yeah. But
so
you enjoyed it, right? You got wrecked.
I did get wrecked. I think Pocket Watch Games is the one who developed it. So they invited me into like their little booth area to sit down with this older gentleman who was wearing like a flight jacket, and his flight jacket had all these old like patches from like Atari and Super Nintendo just littered and like put on there. And he sits down next to me. Yeah, for real though. So like Tooth and Tail is like an RTS game that you play competitively against one other person with like a controller. So this guy sits next down to me, and I am a well-to-do gamer. I know what I'm doing. I show up to compete. I'm all about winning.
What are you talking about?
And so this guy sits down next to me, and I just know it. I say, I got this guy's number. Prepare, like, buckle up, bud. Like, you don't know who he's sitting next to.
I'm going to rip those medals off that jacket.
Yeah, we're going to play for that jacket. I'm about to do the cool shit. And he proceeded to just absolutely demolish me. I think he was a fucking ringer. I think he played that game before. I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to build buildings, and he's already like sending all his minions to attack me and just absolutely destroy me. And I'm just staring at the booth operator, like one of their developers or whatever, like why'd you set this up? This is fun. Like,
yeah.
But the game overall looked really cool. It was a lot of fun to play. So I'm actually interested in it. If you want to compete with me in Tooth and Tail, Monica, I'll get us some cool jackets and we can just, like, go against each other.
Okay, sounds good. We should stream it.
Yeah, we should.
There were a few other games out there, specifically Finji's a game development company that has put out some really good games in the past. Feist was one that I had played. I really liked the art style and I was really excited for it. And they had Night in the Woods there, and another game that we talked about, Overland. But just in general, there were a lot of really awesome indie game developers. Any other ones that you wanted to do a shout out for?
Another game I really enjoyed sitting down and playing was Let Them Come, which I think was released at the beginning of the month. It is just a like side scroller, but you don't move, like the monsters move and come at you. It's set in space. You're on a spaceship, and you're just shooting all of these waves of monsters that they come at you. As you play and complete these waves of monsters, you level up your weapon. You can like equip a knife on your character. You start with a machine gun. You start to put add-ons to that, like lasers and stuff. and it just seemed like a really cool, like, sit down for a couple of minutes and play this game to kind of take your mind off stuff. It's not one that you have to like dig into, but it was a lot of fun, man. I was very
Yeah.
impressed. The pixel art in it was gorgeous, like gorgeous. Some of the avatar, the face animations, like I was just staring at him while monsters were destroying me because the animation of the face was so smooth, and I was just blown away by it.
Yeah.
So let them come from Terataka, I think, published by Versus Evil. That was a ton of fun. Definitely check that out. And
Yeah,
then
then one of the bigger games that we paid some attention to is we actually went to the H1Z1
ooh,
invitationals and watched all three of the streamer battles for Battle Royale. That was actually really, really fun. It was like we'd been walking around, like my legs, my butt was hurting. I don't know why. But like I just like my muscles were just sore and tired from walking around. I hate to say it because I would think I could walk around for half a day at a convention, but apparently my body was not ready, and I need to start training before these things. You need like to high step it around the office
yeah,
more or
you
something.
gotta start doing like side shuffles as training for these conventions.
Yeah, for real. But we watched the H1Z1 invitationals, and there were some like really fun scenes. I know a lot of people are like, H1Z1's gone. Like, what the hell are we doing paying attention to this? I think that they're trying to revitalize a little bit. But it was really fun to watch. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more people jump on and are like, I did enjoy, playing that. Like, let me try it out a little bit more. They announced their pro league during, and so that was one of their big announcements. But it was truly enjoyable.
That stage was impressive. Like they had a stage that held like 75 people in a big circle, lights and lasers, big skulls in the middle of it with like TV screens all on top. Like esports is so fun to watch in the arenas.
It felt like the future.
Yeah, have you ever been to an esports game like that?
I mean, not a stage quite that way, I know, but like all the lighting and everything, I kept expecting like this feels like the future, and especially since it was Battle Royale, this sounds really morbid, but I was imagining like as they died in the game, some just injection like coming out and like stabbing them in the arm and them like just dying, like I'm like, this is the future. This is like Running Man or a Stephen King movie or something. But yeah, it was really awesome. Other exhibitors that were there were there was a ton of charities too.
Oh yeah,
that was really nice to see.
I didn't realize that there were that many charities in gaming now. There was a whole corner, like I don't know, 15 of them or so or something like that.
Yeah, and I think like so I feel like the gaming community as a whole has just become known as this really good source of goodwill. Which is awesome because most of the time we're just thought of as little shitty trolls on the internet. And it definitely has become a huge source of goodwill. Not all of the charities that go to these things necessarily are gaming related, but a lot of times they are children related in some sense. So like St. Jude does like cancer research, and then you have like suicide hotline, and that type of thing is also there. But it's just really cool because they have a stage at these where gamers compete against one another in like really fun ways to gain money for a charity that they're representing. And one of our guests, not Jen, was a participant in a sandwich making competition.
This is the sequel to the Easy Bake Oven competition from last year at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
That was a really, really fun event to watch. Just the amount of absurdity that went on. I think Domestic Dan was there. He made a Pop-Tart sandwich.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Natjan had the worst. She had to make a sandwich with a Lunchable, and she had to use an iron.
Her technique was phenomenal. Phenomenal technique. Great. She wrapped her sandwich in tinfoil and then like put the like all poor people do, they take the iron and just like heat it up with that. And I was impressed. It was very innovative.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, she did a great job, and it was fun to see her on there. And then Able Gamers was representing. We've also had them on in the past. That's a charity that is near and dear to my heart, and they definitely it was good that they were out there representing.
Definitely. I think the other cool thing that I saw there, real quick, to go back to like exhibitor or the gaming exhibitors, was Conan O'Brien doing the Lineage 2 gimmick with Day 9. It was really funny to see Conan O'Brien just doing his act and stage, like, 10 feet from you.
Yeah.
And then the other part, like, one, he's just hilarious. And then two, like him interacting with Day 9, just someone from our community that we know, how Day 9 rolls, his whole setup and his attitude.
I don't know that everyone would know tell me about Day 9.
Day 9 is a color commentator for, I think, StarCraft 2 is what he does a lot of. He's known for like PC gaming. He streams on Twitch every year at E3 and bigger like conventions and stuff. He does like the PC gaming panel, and like previews was coming out on PC. He's probably the most professional of all the kind of hosts that are also streamers, because he comes out in the full suit and tie with like a desk in front of him. Like, he does the late night show gimmick when he does these conventions, So like him just interacting with Conan O'Brien was hilarious, because he totally had to take the heel, and Conan O'Brien was just like throwing him on their bus for being a nerd, and it's just like tons of fun. I don't know if Lineage 2 is going to be good at all, or if anyone's going to check it out, but Conan O'Brien being there was definitely funny. I'm sure he's going to have it on his show at some point. Like, his camera crew was there and stuff. So
yeah. The worst exhibitor of all time, though, was someone that was just like haunting me throughout the entire convention. I felt like every time I turned around the corner, there was Totino's Pizza Rolls.
It's like a horror movie.
I don't know what it is. I've been watching a show on Hulu before I go to bed at night, and every time I watch the show, it gives me the option of watching one long ad so that I can not have to watch any other ads. And I always do it because I'm just too enticed to not have to watch these other ads, and every single time it's Totino's Pizza Rolls.
You don't like Totino's Pizza Rolls?
I fucking hate this ad. I have watched it like so many times. I watch it every night, basically. Like, every night I watch Totino's Pizza Rolls ad, and they sing a song. It's Totino's Pizza Rolls. And I go to bed. That's like that's my mom singing me to sleep, is now Totino's singing Totino's. Anyway, Totino's Pizza Rolls was an exhibitor there, and they were literally everywhere. They had people dressed up like Totino's Pizza Rolls. They had people on like the bicycles that will, like, you can sit in the back and they like will bring you around. They had Totino Pizza Roll. What are those even called? Bike carts?
Yeah, bike cart.
With Totino's Pizza Roll pillows on it. It was like my worst fucking nightmare. Everywhere I turned around, there's a fucking Totino's Pizza Roll.
And like, you couldn't even stand in the line. They were coming to like the where you line up to get into the convention center, just shoving plates of Totino's in people's hands. That, like,
yeah, dude, it was just, I'm like, no, Totino's Pizza Rolls, leave me alone. That's hands down was like the funniest exhibitor to me, but also the worst, because I just kept hearing that song play in my head.
Dude, the food there this year was way better, because they brought in all those food trucks.
Yes. Yeah, all the food
trucks.
What
did you have me try for the first time? Was that pupusa?
A pupusa. Okay, let's not talk about that, Brian. It's a little weird. I don't think Brian tried his very first pupusa.
Yeah, I called my mom.
Never had a pupusa before. You really enjoyed it.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's called a pupusa.
Oh, I thought you were fucking with me.
No, it is called a pupusa, but it sounds like dirty to me.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Like, I had it for my very first time. I'm like, oh God. I'm glad I was there for that.
You had like 60 other people watch me eat my first pupusa.
Yeah. 16 other people watch you eat your very first pupusa. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know what pupusas are. So if you're like, I ate a pupusa yesterday, I don't think a lot of people are gonna think, oh, that's a very well known dish in El Salvador. Like,
I was just very excited with the amount of food trucks that were there this year.
Yeah, that was badass.
Last year, you just had to eat like convention hall food, which just like sucked.
Yeah.
So very happy with that choice by Twitch.
But in general, the convention hall, I thought it was exciting. There's a lot to do, a lot to see, a lot of movement. Definitely an improvement. They're continuing to learn and do a good job, and I think as things grow, TwitchCon's going to become bigger and bigger. I mean, the only thing is they still have problems with lines. They still have, issue. Like, we tried to get into the after party. That was like, it was truly about 3/4 of a mile long.
So like, it was at the Queen Mary at the dock or whatever. It's like a carnival amusement place.
Yeah.
And they had people start lining up for it a couple hours in advance. And by the time we had gotten into it, it was a 1/4 mile long. And then people we knew were in the line behind us. And it was like a 1/2 mile long at that point.
Yeah.
And like people just kept pouring
it just
in.
kept growing. And also, those lines they get longer, but they also get a lot fatter. So like everyone's just like, oh, we're friends. Like, my friends are here and everything. It's very.
What up, bro?
What up, bro? Oh man, I watch you. I live here now. Yeah, it was definitely a thing. But we were able to see a lot of the guests that we've had on, and we met some really awesome people that we hope to have on in the future. Some names that some of you guys may recognize, and other ones will be very fresh, as well as some game developers that we think might we've got to check them out, see how their stories are. But we've met a lot of people through hanging out and just doing our thing.
That group at the Kappa Cabana was so fun to hang out with.
Yeah,
like, all those dudes were just like real interesting and really enjoyable to talk to.
Yeah, those dudes were great. Mr. Wizard was one of the guys. We were hanging out with one of the guests that we've had on, Sakisha. He was out there, and we were hanging out with like a lot of his community, and drinking really expensive drinks that were not very good. Yeah. But yeah, there was a lot of different little sections and everything at the conventional hall that were fun to hang out at. And I guess like the biggest thing outside of the Totino's pizza rolls that I had as far as a takeaway from TwitchCon is like everyone always jokes around about like stinky nerds. And I almost was one.
You weren't almost one. You were one, dude.
You smelled me?
You sat next to me while we ate sushi. I totally smelled you.
How do you know that wasn't the sushi?
I hope it wasn't the sushi, because you promised me sushi in California. It was good, so I trusted you.
Yeah, that sushi was only okay though. But yeah, I was getting a little ripe, guys. Like I forgot deodorant in the morning, and what sucked is that we had put our bags in a friend's hotel room, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, so we had to walk around. We found a convenience store, and I bought like a little travel thing, and I was just layering it on the way in towards the convention hall. But yeah, for a minute there,
by layering it out as we were going in, you mean to say we were walking down the street, the main street in Long Beach, like normal people do, except here's Monica, like arms in the air, applying some deodorant on, just casually, like everyone else is doing it too. Like, it doesn't matter. Just here I am.
That's not normal.
No, and I remember why you're doing it, just thinking to myself, like, I don't, like, that's just, okay. Like, I guess Monica just, that's her.
Yeah, I didn't want to wait. I felt like it was an emergency, so I had to do some emergency work, and I had to put, my pride aside and just let everyone see that I had armpits.
Well, they knew you had them. Mm-hmm. But I thought TwitchCon was overall very enjoyable. I can't believe how much bigger it got this year. And the thing that changed
the most... It was a little overwhelming, the amount of people.
I think they said like 40,000 people.
Holy shit.
Were there. At least bought tickets. I don't know how many people actually showed up. But I think the biggest change from this year from last would have to be the IRL section, and IRL streamers in particular.
Oh, yes. This is our hot topic.
Welcome to the hot topic of the night. I don't know.
Brought to you by Hot Topic.
So if you follow anyone on Twitter or like the subreddit of Twitch, you'll know the hot controversy going on that the IRL streamers were there in force with their cameras out, just being up in everyone's business in the convention hall, at the parties, on the streets. They were just there ready to put you on twitch.tv or I guess YouTube for a few of them. What's your take on this? Like, where do you think IRL streamers fall going to, I guess TwitchCon in particular, but like conventions as a whole? You know what I mean?
I mean, okay, so first off, TwitchCon made it abundantly clear that when you purchase a ticket, and by abundantly clear, I mean it's in the fine print. When you purchase a ticket, you are saying that you are okay being recorded. You're saying that you are okay for that to be used in any way. And they did that, like the IRL section of Twitch, in real life section of Twitch it's not gaming. Twitch is, you know, was broken off from Justin TV to be a concentration on gaming. Yes. And IRL is not gaming. That's just more so like it's YouTube, it's vlogging, it's closer to what Justin TV was. And yes, they introduced that section of Twitch after the last convention. So this convention, there were a ton of people walking around, you know, camera on, like, what are those goofy things called?
Like selfie sticks?
Yeah, a selfie stick, whatever. And they're just walking around filming themselves at the convention hall, sometimes pointing people out, whatever. But a lot of them, or enough of them, were actually putting their camera up to people, kind of making it uncomfortable, getting in people's personal space. And then it also carried into these after parties, where normally at after parties, that's where you like really let loose. You know, you're not performing, and I'm not saying that everyone that broadcasts has a different personality, but they don't have to be on all the time. They're just relaxing, yes, and suddenly there's cameras on them. And it caused a lot of conflict for a lot of streamers just because of the approach from some of the IRL streamers, and to the point where they're like, you know, putting their camera in people's faces, or like, I do not want to be filmed, don't film me, and they're still doing it.
Yeah. Very rude. But I kind of take the point where I think that streamers and personalities in general are just going to have to accept the new world that they live in, especially the way Twitch promotes it so much. Because I don't think you should be shoving stuff into people's faces and, like, you know, being very disrespectful. But like being in the main convention hall, I think that like the days of you just going to a convention and just being yourself and being able to like kind of turn off the parts of you that you emphasize are kind of gone. And if it like what I don't know what Twitch is going to do about it, because they're not going to take away the IRL section. They're going to tell everyone that they can't do it, but you can do this stuff from a cell phone. Anyone could be popping up their cell phone and just say they're taking a video, but they could be broadcasting. So inside the convention hall, they can have limits, but outside of the convention hall, like at the bars and stuff, they have no like sway over those people. So I think streamers are just going to have to adjust. Like, and I don't even say that like it's a good thing.
I don't know. I really don't know. Only because I feel like Twitch already has gone through so many phases. And granted, yes, you know, there was a period of time where like guys would stream without their shirts on, and then you had to wear shirts, and then girls had to wear certain types of clothes, and then they didn't have to wear certain types of clothes. They test things out a lot. Now I don't know where this will land. I think that the IRL streamers irritated and provoked enough people that, well, yes, at the bars there's not much you can do. One of the nights we were at a bar, there was a awesome live band playing, like really great, and there's a guy right up at the front of this band playing, and he has his camera on the entire time. He's just swooping it back and forth over these artists, and these are like old guys playing the fiddle and the drums and whatever. he's like putting it right in their faces and like zooming in on their instruments and everything. And it's like, dude, what? Chill out. But there's nothing you can do about it. And the only thing you can do about that guy is try to make him feel bad about the fact that he's streaming. You can take him out back and beat the shit out of him. You know, you could ask him to turn it off, in which case he's going to say, no, I'm streaming. Like, there's nothing you can really do.
And those people are just like heightened by it because, and I without getting too specific,
great show.
Yeah, and I know people who like stream to like 5 or 6 people, and then all of a sudden they're live streaming TwitchCon, and now their numbers are up to 150. So like that only bolsters them more because they think these people are in their chat and they're following. Like they're not there for you, dude. Like they're there so they can maybe get their favorite streamer. Like, oh look, I see that guy, I know him.
Yeah.
But like going into bars and stuff, I don't know how they get away with it, because. Like, doesn't a bar have to tell you you're being recorded inside of a bar if you're being broadcasted?
I have no clue. But like you had said, I don't know that there's much the community can do outside of TwitchCon. But at TwitchCon, I feel like Twitch will react to this in some way. I think rules next year are going to be more strict. I think if you know, that would be my guess, is that rules will be more strict. Now you can still stream, but you're not allowed to, you have to get maybe permissions from people before you bring them on. Like that has to be a part of it, you know? So nobody just running around harassing women on IRL and thinking like, oh yeah, like this is, these people are loving the fact that I'm running around this convention where normally it's just a huge community gathering and everyone's having a great time. And now you've got people running around trying to provoke people, prank people, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the pranking at the panels going on for the IRL streaming.
Yeah. Yeah. And then at the after parties and everything, I mean, that the big argument there is that those are private events, and that the IRL streamers shouldn't be. And they did make a rule after the first night that IRL streamers should not be streaming at the other events. Like no. And I think that's fair. I mean, that is really where, like, you know, people that put a lot of work and effort, you know, as partnered streamers, they get to go and they get to participate with their friends and relax and enjoy. It's kind of like their industry night. And then they have people that are bothering them, you know, harassing them. And I think that's really unfortunate. I think that's a huge part of what makes Twitch so fun is the community and these outings. The way I see it is this. I don't think they belong there. I don't know that they're going to go away, but I don't think they belong there. If you go to a wrestling convention, you don't have people aren't allowed to just tackle you to the ground, lift up your leg to your chin, and make you grunt a lot. Yeah. Like, that is not something that is allowed to happen. If you go to a karate convention, you don't just get to, you know, Karate Kid everyone. Like, these aren't just because you're going to a convention, people are going there to gain knowledge, not participate in that thing. Granted, that happens, but that's invited at booths. They craft that. So I don't know. I personally feel like IRL streaming, like, yeah, come to the convention, participate, like, get to know other IRL streamers, get to know regular streamers, but put the fucking camera away. Yeah. And like, I don't get some of the criticism that goes on to streamers, because I was reading the subreddit for Twitch and some of the Twitter feeds about people who were saying like, oh, well, it's for streaming, like, what do you have to hide and stuff. I don't think these people realize what goes into, like, putting on, and I don't want to say just like a blanket persona, but just kind of like, you know, always being on and popping. And they don't realize that these people, like, it's mentally straining to do that for, you know, 8-9 hours a day, and then they come to TwitchCon, and then they can kind of just not be that person, but still enjoy the community, still enjoy their friends. And I don't get the backlash that was going on in the community about everyone being so upset that IRL streamers can't do this. And I don't know if it's just like those IRL streamers communities are flooding the comments because they want to watch that because they're not able to come to TwitchCon, or they're too afraid to come, you know? So do you think that they should be allowed to, or do you think that they shouldn't? Because I'm definitely like a hard they shouldn't. After parties, no.
And that's only because I'm a drunken fool and I know how to get when I get a few into me. I'll start doing the Irish jig.
Yeah,
We
that's
know
true.
this.
You did. It was very beautiful.
Yeah. So like after parties, no. Inside the convention hall, yes, I think you should, and I think Twitch needs to do a better job. And I think the second and third day they did at separating, like in this section you can't live stream. Like I think like the partner zone, they're like you can't live stream in here. I think some of the panels they shouldn't let you live stream, but on the main convention floor, I do think you should. And if you shouldn't, then I think Twitch needs to rethink the entire IRL section if they want it part of their brand. Because if you're closing like the main the main public area off, then what's your argument for letting the IRL section exist and letting these people walk around with cameras and just film people in their everyday life and be on your platform? So I think they're in a weird place philosophically with it, like in a way. Like if it's really this big of a problem, why is it part of the Twitch platform?
Right. Well, hasn't been around before this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens after this last convention. And it also will be interesting if it gets worse or it doesn't get, you're only going to have more and more participating in that, right?
Yeah.
Like IRL streaming, I want to say it's an easier version of streaming, and I will say that boldly, and I will not back down from that. It's easier. You just have to be you don't have to be an idiot. It will help if you're an idiot, and you just have to have a phone camera, and
get hit by cars.
And get hit by cars like one of the IRL streamers that was there. But that being said, like I totally forgot what I was saying. Fuck. Now I'm just thinking about the guy flying in the air as he was getting hit by a car.
I'm sorry.
That's like no, you're fine.
I'll throw out a personal anecdote to let you get back to it. I remember I went to a Twitch Orlando event and I was having a good time and drinking, enjoying the people there, getting to know people. And then like someone who was IRL streaming who was a very nice person about it. He wasn't like in your face, He was just kind of like overhead, like, look what's going on. If anyone wants to come on camera, they can come talk to him. And I felt, and maybe it was just in my own head, it definitely changed the vibe of the room.
Oh yeah, cameras on you totally changes it, especially out in public.
Yeah, and like especially, everyone has jobs. Like people can be successful streamers and still have jobs that they can't act a certain way without losing their gig.
Right. And that's what I was going to say is that, all of these streamers that were bothered by it, these big names for Twitch, their biggest names, really, a lot of them were vocal about their unrest with the situation. But will they do anything about it? Will they boycott the next convention if the next convention is worse? And that's where I just think it's like it's sounding off. Will people listen? Maybe, but it's also lucrative for these streamers, no matter who you are, to go to these conventions, and it may just unfortunately turn into way more just a business trip than it is a relief and a hangout.
Yep, absolutely. And like it just came to me while we were talking about this. Like think about like security concerns for people. These are big personalities who people might, want to cause harm or like do injury to people.
Yeah.
That happens. It happened in Orlando with that YouTuber. She was shot at a concert she was at. So now you're giving people like real live locations about where these streamers are, what bar they're at.
Yeah.
I think that can get like really weird very, very quickly.
Yep. Yeah, so. I agree. Totally. But overall, TwitchCon was a hit. I'm glad we went. I really liked it being in Long Beach, and would go again. A+++.
I'm definitely going to TwitchCon again. I'm a little less keen on Long Beach than you are. I like my bars a little bit more centralized in a downtown area. I don't like going to each end of the city to bar hop. We got a little
Yeah, that's true. We did, but that's because we were really bad at walking, Brian.
Okay. I don't even know what to do with that. I'll say this, the Irish bar, that took a lot of money off people.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drinking going on in that Irish bar.
There was, yep. Yeah, I don't know. I think for next year, my notes would be we need to get better at walking.
Yep.
We need to be way more rich to drink at the Kappa Cabana in the convention. We need to be rich for that.
We need a nest egg to drink at the Kappa Cabana.
Yeah, we need a nest egg. And we may want to bring like some type of mask just in case the IRL streamers are out in fuller force next time and we do not want to be on camera.
Yeah, we should definitely, like, maybe you can get like one of those lasers and just shine into their camera the whole time to really bug them. You know?
Yeah, that would be great.
I got it.
Oh my gosh, we could troll the IRL.
Dude, can we sell like purple ones and sell them to all the streamers? Like, here you go. We'll brand them.
Yeah, this is your protection.
Yes. All right. That's going to do it for episode 36 of the podcast. No good, the bad, the ugly this week. We just kind of wanted to download our thoughts on TwitchCon and knew it would take some time. So we'll start that back up next week to get into the game previews. But that's going to do it for this episode. Make sure to subscribe to us and share us on Apple iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or YouTube if you're into video. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.